Hey everyone, Metagross Freak here with a fun little video I wanted to do. That's basically taking all of my plane-related transformers and seeing if I can make a Gerwalk mode. Now, if you're unfamiliar with Gerwalk, a Gerwalk mode is essentially, it comes from some like old anime or like some kind of Gundam-esque anime where basically an aerial craft fighter that can turn into a robot is basically able to have all four of its limbs deployed while the main torso still looks like a robot. Which, with a couple of these, will be really easy, but a couple of them will be a little more difficult. So I used to actually have more aerial transformers. I used to have the Voyager Megatron from Transformers, the 2007 movie. And I used to have a couple mini cons that were planes, but for some reason I no longer have the mini cons, though I do know I donated the Megatron. But what I do have here is a Transformer Cybertron Soundwave. It's the Legends class. I do plan on getting the Voyager size fairly soon. I'm just kind of saving up some money. It's not that expensive. It costs like 35 bucks, but I don't want to just have a giant hole in my bank account when I'm buying other things like gas. I have a Scout class. Technically, the mold was originally used for Skyblast, but this was used for the 2007 movie for I believe his name is Air Raid. Actually, this figure appeared in a video I did like 5 years ago. One of my favorite figures, of course, Cybertron Deluxe Class Sideways. And finally, from, again, the 2007 movie, basically just a repaint of Starscream, or I guess technically a slight remold because of the head, Voyager class Thundercracker. So without further ado, let's get into it. Alright, I'm going to start us off with the Legends class figure. I'm expecting this to be probably one of the harder ones because of how simplified the transformation is. And to be honest, even with the Voyager figure, would probably have a hard time because of how this version of Soundwave transforms. So I think for this, I'm going to leave the canopy there. And I'm going to actually flip the torso around. Though this is a very unconventional way of transforming the figure, but to say the least. But there we go, and you can pretty much see the entire Soundwave body there. Let's see here. I think this will. It doesn't swing forward far enough. But I'm giving it my best shot, you know. And I don't know if I can get any more Gerwalky than this, but there we go. We have something that looks relatively like a plane. The arms are sticking out, and it has legs. And if I tilt it far forward enough, it does stand on its own, though this is definitely a far stretch from a Gerwalk mode. When I do get the actual Voyager class Cybertron Soundwave, of course we'll make another attempt with that. Air Raid I think will be pretty easy because of how the legs flip out. So folding out the legs, the arms like that, I can come over here, undo this claw. I never really understood why these claw bits were there. But let's see here. Unfortunately, Air Raid being a scout class is pretty much just limbs. But let me see what I can do here. His legs don't easily rotate around, but they can. There we go. So I would say if you just wanted the legs, there you go. There's leg Gerwalk. If you want the arms as well, the arms really don't bend back that well, so it would be kind of weird to have the arms anyway. One thing you could do is you could try flipping the arms like that, so you have the arms going straight forward. Again, it has relatively good balance because of the way the feet are, but that doesn't really look very plane-like. So I think in this instance, it's better just to have the wings back, like in their vehicle mode transformation. So basically, looks like you have a relatively looks like you have a plane just with legs. I consider this one to be fairly successful, regardless of which mode you do it in. I am really familiar with the sideways mold. It's one of my favorite molds, both from the Cybertron line, as well as just in general. It's a really versatile mold, and I like it. But I think this one should be fairly easy. A really nice thing is that the wing bits can attach into the vehicle form up on the where the shoulders would be, but they don't have to be attached to the legs, which will make it a lot easier compared to someone like Air Raid. So I'm just going to fold the bits that hold the wings away and detach the legs. And we can... This will be a pretty easy one because you basically have to go into Gerwalk mode when transforming into robot mode anyway. So I'm basically mostly just going to be transforming it on screen. Flip the legs around. I also really love that he just has these massively long, like, heels to go with the legs. He has a very stable robot mode, and I realize I'm doing a lot of this off camera. That's my fault. Okay, continuity. I'll flip one arm out. I really don't want to flip this arm out though, because this holds onto the shield piece, which is going to be a lot of the robot mode. So I'm going to see just how it looks with. I'm going to see how it looks with no arms first. It does make it a little bit harder because this little piece can't go up into the back where the arms would be, but I can at least kind of pseudo BS it. It does take away from some of that definition on the side, but I think it'll be fine. So here we go. Here's sideways. As you notice, one of my wings is drooping just because I need to, hello cat, tighten up I need to tighten up the peg on this side, regardless of whether it's being held in the hand or in the wings. The peg on this wing sword is a little loose, so maybe something like, I think it's either shoe polish or floor polish. We'll tighten that up. And there we go. Other than just the little parts on the sides here, this pretty much looks like the full vehicle mode, just a little bit narrower with legs. That's pretty neat. I'm going to take that wing off. It's going to come off anyway when I'm trying to transform this. I'll just try it now without those, without the wings getting in the way, or without the thing here. So let me just pop these pieces out. Basically, the only thing you're not doing when transforming sideways into a Gerwalk is you're pretty much just not like flipping his head out and putting his cape down. Because other than that, like other than putting the cape down and flipping his head out, he is basically full vehicle mode, sorry, full robot mode. There we go. I'm just gonna hold this. That looks incredibly silly. I think it looks, especially considering how gappy this piece is, like I can literally just move my finger up and down through the open space behind the wings. I think considering how far back the wings are, since this is supposed to be like a stealth bomber, this looks a little ridiculous. I think it looks better without the arms deployed, with just the legs out. But there we go. There's Sideways. Excuse me, Sideways. So like I mentioned before, Thundercracker is a repaint of Starscream. So if you have Starscream, of course, you could do this as well. I'm just going to take the missiles out of their little storage racks because I don't want them in the hands, because those will fire off constantly. I don't want them in the storage racks just because these will be flopping around. I'll put them back, of course. So basically, what's really nice is I don't have to deal with any of this plain bit on the top because all the limbs are on the bottom. So I'm going to start us off by just getting these arms out of the way. I'll flip up the landing gear. I think that's technically landing gear. It doesn't reach the bottom, but I guess it kind of resembles landing gear in a way. Flip open the kneecaps. Open up the leg compartments. Well, I will say, the one thing I don't like about this mold is that the knees are really, these knee compartments that make up the thighs are kind of difficult to work with sometimes. So unfortunately, the figure is supposed to stand like this, so I don't know if I'll be able to get the right angle out of the legs, because the legs are not designed to rotate like that. So this may not be a very balanced Gerwalk, but I will at least give it my best effort. Because I'm basically going to be having this figure laying. I'm basically going to have a Gerwalk of a robot that's laying on its stomach. That way it's better balanced, because I had to hold it up. It could not stand on its own like that. Oh, the leg came unpegged. Let me just pop that back in. I have actually never had that happen before. That was a little bit of a surprise. You know what? I'm trying to ratchet it. It's a very soft ratchet. I'm trying to ratchet it basically before I pop the leg back in. Oh, of course I have to do that. But I think doing it like this will help better balance the weight. I don't know necessarily if the limbs are supposed to bend like that, but they do now. I mean, it doesn't look like the pieces are stressed at all, so I would assume that it's a totally legitimate bend. I mean, and on this leg, on his left leg, on Thundercracker's left leg, it did bend a lot more easily. Could just be that I hadn't put a lot of bend into the other leg. At least not yet. pop that back in. So there we go. I got both legs in a relatively Gerwalk look, and even though technically the feet are backwards, his feet are pointing in the opposite direction, that stands on its own. Yeah, it stands on its own. I don't have to hold it or anything. It stands on its own. It's got the arms pointed forward. Let me see if I can get that at a better angle. Fortunately, the arms are not super flexible. It's kind of the bare minimum flexibility, unfortunately. Unfortunately, this arm is looser than this arm, which is not as loose. Obviously, I am trying to rotate it a little bit so it is a little more balanced, I guess you could say. But it even has enough flexibility, sorry, not flexibility, enough clearance that you can flip out the claws, the finger claws on the hands, the hand rockets. Let me flip that back out, and yeah, so see, you can spin those hands to fire the missiles. I consider this to be extremely successful. The first version I did, where the legs were on that side, not so much, but this is extremely successful, and considering all I really had to do was bend the legs a little bit and flip the arms out, but not actually transform anything, this is actually surprisingly the easiest one. You know, sideways I pretty much had to transform all the way. Soundwave I had to basically turn inside out, and air raid was fairly easy because it's a fairly easy transformation. Though the wings were a little more difficult, but yeah, this is basically entirely just a plane, which now I'm realizing that basically this means that Starscream and Thundercracker are basically just planes with like literally just planes with arms and wings attached. Because yeah, that's literally all I had to do for the shoulders. Well, I guess there. I had to rotate the arms 90 degrees and shift the shoulders from. I had to shift the shoulders from, you know, that to that. Oh, so difficult. Flip the leg, flip that back down. I can rotate that. Yeah, basically all you have to do is just rotate the leg and angle that up. So yeah, this is actually, I know it took me, like, it's taken me 9 minutes to do just Thundercracker, but I'd probably say out of all of them, Thundercracker, I mean, that's because I was experimenting, but Thundercracker really required the least amount of work for the mode I ended up going with. And I'd say his is the most successful. Yeah, because see, it only took me a couple seconds to put him back into vehicle mode. So that was my little Gerwalk special. Thank you all for watching. I know this may not have been the most interesting thing in the world, but some of you who are fans of trying to make Gerwalk modes out of your aerial transformers may have found this fun. Stay tuned for a future video where I do a review on the Voyager version of Soundwave, and I'll try to do a Gerwalk in that video as well. So thank you all and have a great day.